My name is Lindsay Padilla, and this is my official entry for Lacey Craig's A Lit Up Partnership. And I've kind of shied away from watching some of the videos, and I'm going to do a marathon tonight. My husband is doing some grading, so I have some free time, and I'm just going to bust through all of them, and I look forward to hearing about what you're all up to. So my business is about 2 months old. I'm an e-course expert and an info product strategist. And I do this for trailblazing entrepreneurs. I want people who are out to change the world. And they want to create a course that has value, that is not boring, that is exciting, because that's going to get their students results and they're going to be able to make a lasting impact on the world. So I haven't always been an e-course expert, and I kind of recently stepped into my power about 2 months ago on June 3rd. And up until that point, I thought I was going to be a self-care coach. And prior to that, I was doing some other stuff, MLMs, and then a professor. I'm a sociology professor at a community college, and I've been doing that for 6 years. At 34 years old, I have 2 graduate degrees. I have a dissertation that I wrote on emotions and teaching, which is actually super relevant to e-course work, surprisingly. So yeah, I've kind of spent my whole life in academia in some version of education, which I guess isn't surprising. I set myself up to be in a stable position. I wanted tenure. I wanted job security, I wanted a salary, I wanted healthcare, all things that my family didn't have. So once I got that stuff, the dream job, the house, all of that stuff, and my husband did the same, did the degree, both of us, job, both of us, check, check, check. I started to realize that I was gonna hit a limit. I hit a ceiling, and I was uncomfortable about that. So that's when I got into entrepreneurship. So my value is that all of the years of education that I have had, 30 years, I've been in education in some point. I guess you enter into preschool at like 3 or 4, right? So I've been in education for 30 years. I've been teaching online, and I'm a very creative instructor. I'm an innovative instructor, and I'm an instructor that doesn't really play by the rules. In my teaching, I did not want to teach to the test. I did not want to teach by the book. And so I've always been kind of pushing the limits of my students. And I want to do that for entrepreneurship. We can do better than what is being done right now. And I know that. I didn't know that probably a little bit ago. I'm just kind of now realizing how much I actually have to offer that is going to change how we see e-courses, how we see programs, because there's some stuff that's very, very wrong, very wrong. A few studies came out a couple years ago around massive online courses, MOOCs, where 97% of students were failing the courses. No one has comprehensively studied e-courses in entrepreneur land. But I'll say this. I have spoken to an analyst, someone who does the back end and stats and numbers for a very, very, very high-end name that everybody in this group knows, and who has $1 million launches. And when I asked him if he cares about student retention or completion rates, he said no, because it doesn't matter, you have lifetime access, finish the course when you want. So I completely disagree. I think that totally matters. When you have 8 courses that you've purchased and you've not moving forward in your business, we are doing a disservice by selling people, from a $200 course to a $2,000 course, we're doing people a disservice when they're not finishing, and we need to care about that. So I want to bring that caring back into teaching. I want the people who run these businesses, multi-6-figure businesses, whatever, they need to know that they don't know everything, that their students matter, because their creativity, their life, the impact that they could potentially make is on the line. And if they don't finish that course, that is one more block that is preventing them from putting out what they know into the world. And I want to change that. So my value that I bring to the table is related to wanting to shake things up, wanting to make a difference, wanting to change, even if it makes me a little unpopular. One of my favorite quotes that I think of at the end of the semester when I teach like social change with my students is about going as close to the edge as possible, because when you're in the center, you can't see all the possibility. And I'm on the edge. I want to be on the edge, pushing the envelope, advancing us, progressing us. And it might not be popular by everybody, for everybody, or everyone's cup of tea, but it needs to happen because that's how social change happens. So to me, leading greatly is going out on the edge, but next to people, knowing that you have support from people, being an example that being on the edge is scary, but it's worth it, that there are things that you can't see from the middle when you're at that edge. And it's uncomfortable and it's scary. And, you know, maybe you have vertigo if you're at the edge of a cliff, but that's where you know that you're pushing yourself. And when you make that leap and that jump, the trust that you have the wings, or that there's something to catch you on the bottom, however you want to look at it. And so leading greatly is knowing that moving forward and taking those steps and pushing the outer limits is what is progressing society forward. It's what is progressing the collective forward and humanity forward. And I honestly believe that. So I want to end with the story behind my tattoo. So you might have seen some people call themselves spoonies on the internet. So I'm not a spoonie, but a spoonie is actually someone that has a chronic illness. So if you want to Google that, go for it. I don't know their whole story that they tell with that. But mine is actually from Pete Seeger. So you may have heard of Pete Seeger. He's a folk singer, kind of the Woody Guthrie era. He had a banjo that says, "This banjo kills fascists." Google it. So Pete Seeger is a badass, and he's basically been protesting and speaking out on behalf of workers' rights, labor rights, since the 50s. He was blacklisted in the 50s when they were going after activists. And he basically kept doing that all the way up until he died. He passed away at 93, 2 years ago. I want to say a couple months after I got this tattoo. And he would get asked by news anchors, you know, journalists, whatever, why he kept doing what he was doing. Why do you keep showing up to protests when nothing has changed? The last protest he went to was Occupy Wall Street. I wonder if any of you remember Occupy. And he was out there singing at 91 years old, singing "This Land Is Your Land," which is a song he is very well known for singing at protests, especially with the hidden verses. So yeah, the last protest he went to, he was 91, a couple years before he died. And so he would always get asked, why do you keep doing this? Why would you keep doing this? So on one end there's a seesaw, and on one end of the seesaw is a bucket full of rocks. And on the other end of the seesaw is a bucket full of sand. And there's people walking towards the bucket and filling it up with sand in teaspoons, tiny, tiny teaspoons. I don't even know if you know how small a teaspoon is, but it's small. And they're filling up this bucket. All these people are watching from the sidelines, and they're like, you guys are crazy. Why are you doing that? It's ridiculous. There is sand blowing off your spoon. The sand's blowing out of the bucket. There's no point. That's never going to do anything. And so everyone kept going, kept going. One day, the seesaw went like this. And out of nowhere, pretty much, it seemed like, right? That one moment, that pivotal moment, that last grain of sand, out of nowhere. Everyone who was watching was like, whoa, that was so crazy. How'd that even happen? That's so nuts. It happened so fast. And everybody, the line of people that had spoons had gotten huge. And they're like, no, didn't happen out of nowhere. We have been getting people to grab a spoon since who knows how long, and you just weren't paying attention, or you were laughing at us, and now you're questioning what we're doing. So to me, leading greatly is grabbing a spoon, getting everyone else you know to grab a spoon because you believe that you are making a difference. And we all have different spoons and we all have different ways of making that change, but it makes a change. So I'm glad to grab a spoon. I know everyone in this group has a spoon because that's the type of leader that Lacey is. Let me go get my spoon that sits above my desk. Here's my spoon. This is my message to myself that what I'm doing matters and that I'm getting more and more people with spoons every day. So I just wanted to say thank you, Lacey, and thank you everybody for sharing your stories, sharing your value, and I look forward to connecting and learning from all of you. I'm gonna go watch some of those videos. Take care.